The wheel of time turns and ages come and pass, leaving memories that become legend. Welcome to Dragonmount. I'm Kathy Campbell,
I'm Rajiv Moté.
And I'm Maureen Carr.
and we are here for season 3 of The Wheel of Time. We've got upgraded podcasting joy because we're doing video this time. So even though the past couple seasons we have posted our podcast onto YouTube, now we are recording video with it. So if you want to see our beautiful faces while we talk about things, feel free to visit our YouTube channel or continue. Everything that we do here will be also like verbally described, so you can 100% like just listen. I know a lot of times for me personally, I listen to podcasts just strictly through a podcast app, and if they're on YouTube, sometimes they're like, look at this picture, and it's like, but I'm not watching it. So that is our goal. We want to make sure that we were always here verbally, auditorily. That is our number one purpose. But this time you have a couple visuals to look at too, if you would like. And if not,
Rajiv
that's
nods in
okay.
agreement.
Perfect. Exactly. Yes, we love that. So season 3 is here. Thank you to Amazon for letting us have screeners so we can get this content out to you. We're so excited to share. One little caveat is because they are screeners, we do not have captions, which means sometimes we will get things wrong. Sometimes we will get words wrong, we'll get statements, phrases, anything like that. So please be kind to us, bear with us. But yeah, let's get started.
All right, so we are on season 3. Episode 1's title is called To Race the Shadow. This episode is directed by Kieran Donnelly, and it's written for television by Justine Jewel Gilmer.
Excellent. All right. So normally when we do these episodes, we will be doing them in chunks of like kind of locations. But for this first episode, it all kind of happens at the same time, same location. There are some other things, but we're gonna go through chronological because it's the best way to start. And we start at my favorite place in the Wheel of Time, which is the White Tower, and in Tar Valon, where Moiraine has arrived. But don't worry, she did not return to the tower itself because she.
No.
Um,
She took an oath against that. Not
yes,
supposed to do it.
yes,
And yeah, I had to go back and check to make sure that her oath was to not return to the tower, but she can like sulk around outside and look up at her ex, who's standing in the tower.
yes,
So we should probably remind everyone and ourselves what has happened from there. Before where we left our heroes, they were in the town of Falm, which
yes.
is way over on the kind of southwestern coast, and they had just thrown back the Shanshan invaders, the who used channelers to as weapons, and up on the top of the tower where they defeated the Forsaken, Ishamael. Uh, Moraine wove a giant fiery dragon to announce to the world that the dragon is reborn.
Yes.
So that's where we left them, and now we are what was it, a month, they said?
Yes. They
We're a month
Mhm.
later, and
Yeah.
they have returned. They have returned to Tar Valon, the city of the Aes Sedai. Uh,
yes. And speaking of the Aes Sedai, they got a lot going on right now. Leandrin has been called to the hall of the tower to speak to the Emirlan seat herself. But don't worry, she's okay. She's got the red Aja. Her Aja is going to stand with her no matter what.
yeah, they don't even know what the charges are
They have
against
no
her, but they
idea.
say, "We're with you, sister."
Yeah, yeah, which makes sense. But Liane comes out, who is the keeper, most badass woman in the tower, and there's a lot of them, but she is my favorite. I adore her. And she comes out, and in her sassy queen voice, it's just like, yeah, no, this is going to be only the people that we want, because we can hold the hall. We can hold a sitting of the hall with only 11 sitters. We don't need everyone else, and that means that you don't get to come in. No one else who is not a sitter or the accused will will come into the hall, and that also includes the warders, unfortunately.
This kind of sets the tone for a lot of the tower scenes that we see this
Yes.
season, isn't it? Where there's a lot of rules. There's a lot
Yes.
of laws and technicalities, and they are like bringing up different rules of conduct and saying, okay, you can't do this because we've got this rule against it, or we're going to do this because we have. So a lot of politicking here.
Yes, which
Mm-hmm.
in the books is very Aes Sedai.
Absolutely.
This is one of the things that makes this feel so authentically Wheel of Time from the books. We're not going to give any book spoilers. That will be after the spoiler horn at the end of the episode, so don't worry about that. But just know that this is very on brand for Aes Sedai in the books, and I love that. Especially the Leandrin Sedai will speak for the Red Sisters today, but you will not hear her. Like, that is so perfect. Like, obviously she can speak her words, but not everyone needs to hear.
That's right. So they're calling Leandrin in, and those of us who remember season two uh, have an inkling of why they're calling her in. What did she do last time?
Stole some girls and sold them away.
Very bad things, things that are not
Yeah.
allowed by any such laws. So
Yeah.
she is obviously someone who needs to be brought to justice.
Yes.
And we get the sense that Swan is ready for this. She is not only mobilizing this proceeding, but Viren has another plan that's presumably at her behest. She is taking a couple of her minions to a place that we learn is called the 13th Depository. It has one of those little what's the room of requirement
Yeah.
secret walls that you go
Oh, yeah,
into.
yeah. Mhm.
Uh, so, a secret room where they store lots of powerful magical artifacts. And
Yes.
so she's taking her sister, Adeleas, and her one of her spies, Naomi, over there, and they're going to they have a plan uh, for securing some of these artifacts because they know that Leandrin was probably not alone in her betrayal.
Yes, and Varen says that Mother is there to have her protect it, which means she probably has like a magic key to get into that door, those permissions. But in the hall, Leandrin, instead of waiting and playing nice, decides to go on the offensive because the best defense, of course, is an offense. Or no, offense is the best defense. Is that the line? I don't
That's
know.
the same thing.
It all works. Either way, Leandra decides that she's going to attack, and is like, "Hey, Swan, you broke Tower custom and law first because guess what? The Dragon Reborn is real, and you just let him escape. Like, you worked with Moiraine. We know, like, something happened here, and you are responsible for the Dragon Reborn not being in the tower and letting us control him."
And I think there are some really important things that kind of have ripple effects through this season as well. So the tower's position here is that you've got to find and cage the Dragon Reborn. They use the term cage,
Yes.
and you know this is a man who can channel. Even though he's the prophesied savior, the one who's supposed to defeat the Dark One or at least face the Dark One. Uh, we know that men who can channel are very dangerous, and Aes Sedai are the only ones who can keep them under control.
Yep.
And the way to keep them under control, according to what the tower believes, is to control him, to cage him up, and basically, when he's ready to fight the Dark One, just kind of point him like a gun and fire.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
and
especially Leandrin as a red, the red Aja, that is their purpose. Their
Mhm.
purpose is to take care of male channelers. That is pretty much their only goal. And so here's Liandrin accusing Swan of not letting her Aja do what
Yeah.
they're supposed to do.
And we know why. I mean, Swan did cage Rand last season,
Yeah.
until the ex-girlfriend showed up,
Yeah.
Lanfear, and basically burned the city down.
Yep.
So you know, can't fault Swan too much for that plan going awry, but certainly Leandrin's gonna try.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And there are some parallels here with season one when Moiraine had Rand and thought he was the Dragon Reborn and just was like, the adrenaline's gonna make you defeat him. And like with no preparation,
Yes.
with no help, like, yeah, we're just gonna send you over there. So that does seem like the Aes Sedai's plan, which if you think about it, is really stupid. Like they're smarter than this. They should have had more information.
Yeah.
Like just
Yeah.
cage them and
It
it'll
it
take care of itself.
it makes you wonder just, how much of an article of faith the whole the wheel weaves as the wheel wills is. Like
Yeah.
Yes.
they are really
Hmm.
trusting
Hmm.
if we put these elements in the same location, fate will take care of it, and
Yes.
we'll be
Uh-huh.
good. We just need to arrange for that to happen. Uh, but of course, that's not the way things turn out.
Nope. Nope. Because Swan decides to now go on her own offensive and brings out Nynaeve as proof that Liandrin is a dark friend and has lied. And that right there is the biggest. There are the 3 oaths that Aes Sedai take. I will not use the power as a weapon except for protecting myself or my warders or innocents. I will not. I cannot tell a word that is not true. And
Make no weapon for a man to kill another
yes,
man.
and I will not
Yeah.
make a weapon that someone else can use to kill. So these are all ways. At the end of the Age of Legends, when Aes Sedai were, when everyone was scared of them because they had, broken the world, um, these oaths were put into place to allow the public to kind of have a safety harness on what the Aes Sedai could do. And give the regular public kind of the idea that there are some limits to their power, so they don't blow up the world again. But clearly, Liandrin can lie, which means those oaths no longer hold her, which is a big deal.
Yeah. And the common knowledge among Aes Sedai is the only way to free yourself from that is through the Dark One's intervention. At least that
Yes.
seems to be what they believe.
Yeah.
So it's conclusive proof that if you lie and you've been seen to take the 3 oaths, then the Dark One has intervened on your behalf.
Yes. And Liandrin realizes that she's going to lose.
Yeah.
And
She's caught. Once Nynaeve shows up, she
Mhm.
drops the pretense.
yep. And she starts to try to attack Swan. Alana and Liane are there to protect. Alana, of course, being Green Aja, knows how to attack. Green Aja is the battle Aja. Liane, as a keeper, but also in the blue Aja, is there to protect her Amirlin. And this allows Swan to come in and cage Liandrin in a ball of fire. But if only she had like put some sort of like mouthpiece or block to not let Liandrin say anything, because she summoned some friends.
I think they would have come to help even if she hadn't said
Probably,
anything.
Yeah.
probably. This is more, theatrical, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's the big surprise, right? So Swan thought that she was accounting for the fact that Leandrin would have allies within the tower.
Yes.
What she didn't count on was the fact that the Council of Sitters, the most elite part of the White Tower government, half of them, or at least, one from each Aja, uh, is actually secretly allied with her. So
Yes.
the plan of catching Leandrin goes horribly wrong when a number of Aes Sedai jump in to defend Leandrin, to start beheading other Aes Sedai.
Yeah.
Flows and weaves are
Completely
going all over the
chopping one
place.
in half.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, it was. This is beautiful. In the worst way.
Yeah.
We
Brutal
see.
violence.
Well, and then
Yes.
it shows the Black Ajas, even though they're not all green, they know battle weaves.
Yes.
Whereas the other Aes Sedai are just kind of like pushing air and blocking, and
Yes.
they're not really amazing
At fighting.
attacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So they're very much outmatched.
Yes.
Even though there's only what, 5 or 6 of them, I think, that are the black right
I
there.
think there's 5, and then 6 is Naomi, and 7 is a friend coming from outside.
Yeah, so there's only four others inside
Yeah. Yeah.
the hall.
Yes, and it's enough to basically take care of every other Aes Sedai in there.
Mm-hmm.
We're also like, you're in order to get Leandrin out of the cage, one of the Aes Sedai throws a rock and distracts Swan, which in the books that's something that, and again, this isn't a spoiler necessarily, so we are going to talk a little bit about like what the books bring to the show. But in the books, they one of the things is, use your, punch someone in the face if they're trying to like throw weaves at you, and this whole idea of like Aes Sedai and channelers only believe in what the magic they can produce. Well, clearly that's not an idea in the show, which I love, because that always seemed kind of ridiculous to me. Especially Black Aja is going to use whatever tools in their tool belt to come and take care of things, and that includes throwing a big rock at the Mirland.
Lyanna at one point uses her keeper staff to beat in the
Yes.
head of one of the
Yeah.
Black Aja sisters, which
Yes.
was awesome.
It was so cool. Like, just
So she's not even relying on so she, again, there's no battle weaves. It's just like, hey, I've got this big heavy staff. Bam.
let me use what I can do. And Liane is not Green Aja either, and she clearly has some training, which is fantastic. And so obviously it's difficult to keep this quiet. The whole tower is shaking. There's a lot of noise. The warders are trying to get into the hall, but of course it's locked. And the Red Aja is going to try and get in too, but of course the warders don't like the Red Aja. The Red Aja does not have warders because they, believe men are bad. They're like, no, we're not going to have any warders. And so they are stopped by Alana's warders, Ivan and Maxim, as well as the other warders that are there, trying to they're talking through each other. They both want the same thing, but they don't trust each other. But thankfully, here comes the Green Aja with her warders, and they're gonna come and help the warders, except they're not. Jane is a Green Aja, and Ivan and Maxim clearly know her because that is what Alana's Aja is, and asks, hey, help us get inside. And she goes, no. And her warders go to attack, and they die pretty much instantly. And she says, I can feel them dying. It's so good. In the most creepy way. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time, which is what I feel like this cold open is just beautiful and terrible.
And I think it's worth mentioning too. We'd been talking before about the dynamics of a big power fight. A lot of times, like in Marvel films, things like that, when you have special effects heavy power fights, they look kind of like a video game, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's so much physicality here. There's so much focus on the actors' faces and their expressions, what's happening, the pain, the rage, all of that stuff, that it does look cinematic. It doesn't look like a video game. It's not an animation thing. There just happen to be these colorful weaves going around and making things explode and crumble, but there are also people bashing each other's heads in. There's warders swinging swords, power flows blocking those swords, just all sorts of fighting taking place in a very physical and visceral way.
Yeah.
And so, if ever we get a chance to interview for Dragonmount some of the visual effects people, it would be great to understand how they're choreographing that, how they're
Yeah.
storyboarding that out,
Yeah.
because they really did a great job. They made it seem like a real fight.
Yeah.
I was never removed from that scene and thinking, okay,
Yes.
that's
Mhm.
looks like a game now
Oh,
or
they're
anything.
clearly, in a green room, and they're all, have, maybe they all have the little dots on them so that it can do it. It felt so real, and yeah, I love it. I love it. But while that fight is going on, Varen is going to have a fight of her own, because Naomi betrays both Varen and Adelaus, and it basically says, "At last, I don't have to listen to your bullshit anymore," and knocks them out with. At this point, we see that Naomi has a very like specific type of weave. It's
Yeah.
the white of spirit, and I think water, maybe earth, unsure, but definitely spirit, just drilling straight into the forehead.
It's targeting the mind,
Yes.
definitely.
Mhm.
Yes. And grabs a bunch of Terangriel that are in the 13th depository, packs them all up, and leaves. And so just like, okay, bye, I'm done with you. I'm going to go. And we know that she's going to meet up with Liandrin.
So Swan's plan has now completely failed in a
Yes.
spectacular fashion.
Both sides of the plan,
Mhm.
because here's
Yes.
Varen
Yeah.
meant to protect these things, and instead of protecting them, she basically let the wolf into
Mhm.
the sheep
Yeah,
pen.
absolutely.
You see Moiraine and Lan out in the city watching the explosions. I thought that was a really nice. It would be easy enough to just like ignore them, but you're seeing the sheer span of this battle, that it's not just hidden within the tower, that it's clearly
Mhm.
being
Yeah.
seen in the city.
There's a floor, there's a tier in the tower that's exploding outwards.
Yeah,
And yeah, this is a big disaster
it's
going on.
a
And
massive.
Moraine is not allowed to go back into the tower. She
Yes.
cannot physically go
Mhm.
into the tower to help.
Yeah, there's nothing that she can do out there, but maybe she can help in the city. Leandrin knows that like there's a part now. It's to the point where they can escape, and is like, let's get to the docks. Swan is injured, but thankfully there's some yellow sisters. The yellow Aja are the healing Aja. Thankfully, there's some there that can heal Swan. And she didn't expect this many Aes Sedai sworn to the shadow, which is not good. That this was unexpected. And they're gonna try and stop the Black Asha from leaving. And one of the ways to stop them is with Alana, another badass.
She
She
and her
she
two warders are ready to go,
yes.
rolling what? Well,
A, a,
no, it's a
a-
yeah, just she makes the pavement explode,
yes.
and then she does a backflip over
Just
the
it almost like a
the
swan
fire
dive
strikes. Yeah,
somehow.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's it's
Um,
it's incredible. It's the same. It's a very similar fight to in the hall, but this time there are two warders that have the only thing that they have is the physicality. So the only way that they fight is with a sword, and so the balance of that and how it comes through and fights, especially when both Ivan and Maxim stab Leandrin, uh, and then they pull the swords out and they get ready to do like a double chop off the head. But shields come to block it, and it lets Leandrin, get out of the way and survive, but they couldn't move the sword. And I don't know, like I just a simple block, like that's all, a little shield thing, that's all it was, but it clearly saved her life.
she also took two swords going right through her torso,
Yes.
and still managed to channel, which there's a lot of stabbing in this episode,
Yes,
and
lots of stabbing.
and in the next couple, and they're surprisingly resilient to being
Yes.
stabbed.
Yes.
Yes, there's healing, but
Yeah, because
you know,
thankfully there's a yellow sister there, and she's healing Leandrin while Naomi is blocking Alana's attack. And Swan enters the city too. She's got 2 sisters with her. Well, momentarily, until they their brains explode basically, and we have 2 of the Black Aja come and have captured Swan in a net, and it's not going very well. Even though they have Swan captured and she can't channel, she's so strong, and you see this power, how much power makes a difference, because Swan is able to push against the shield. She's trying to get out because she's trying to be captured by Liandrin, and they want Swan alive, but they can't hold her, so they got to kill her. And in order to kill her, they kind of like try and knock off a bell at a building, like instead of, I don't know, using something else to kill, like any sort of power, because she can't channel.
Like explode brains,
right?
Like they just showed they could do.
Like, okay, let's, I guess, just drop a rock on her. But
it's time for some property damage. That's all right.
Let's ruin the city.
I never liked that bell tower anyway.
It woke me up every morning. Yes.
That's right.
But channeling stops the blocks from hitting Swan. And they're basically like, oh no, like, how is she doing this? And it's not Swan, it's Moiraine. Moiraine has come to save her ex-girlfriend, or current girlfriend. I don't know. We're unsure how they left or how they've communicated. But either way, Moiraine saves Swan, lets Swan go, and then they have a moment of eye contact before she turns around and leaves.
And lets the building fall.
And then lets the building fall. She's got other things to do.
Yeah, that's right.
And we also see Lan arrives in the tower to protect Nynaeve, who their relationship, they love each other, and Nynaeve is alive because Liandrin did not kill her. Yeah. Just knocked her out. Everything is good with them for now. And a little bit of a dramatic, cold open, because here comes the Wheel of Time logo coming to hang out, which means the cold open is over 17 minutes later.
Yeah. I think we were talking about this, that, season 4 is dependent on the performance of season 3. And it has been good to see a lot of marketing material for season 3 being pushed forward, including the 17-minute sequence that was released before the actual show was released. And it's a stunner. There's a lot of action, there's a lot of mayhem, a lot of shocking scenes, things like that. And so it feels like there's a good solid effort to capture viewers for this. So good on them. Let's make sure season 4 happens.
Please, please. I want to see what happens.
Yeah, definitely.
And then
also this reminded me, just sorry.
No, please go.
So the fact that they released the cold open first was reminiscent of how they would release the prologues to us, those last few books
right
in advance, and just kind of like get you your mouth salivating for more. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah,
I wonder if we'll get that for the future seasons too. That'd be nice.
Maybe.
I hope so.
I hope so. But it makes sense that Rafe would I'm sure someone who's a fan suggested it, because it is very on brand for the Wheel of Time to just kind of give a little teaser, give a little hint, to start off the season and get everyone super excited. And then, so we're hanging out with the Two Rivers 5. Now that the battle is over, Egwene wishes that Elayne and her were with Nynaeve. There's some sadness there that they couldn't protect their friend, even though they couldn't be there because they don't have the ring. They are only novices. And there was no reason for them to be trusted, whereas Nynaeve, as an accepted, has a level of trust in the tower and respect as accepted. So it makes more sense to just have her there, even if it means that she's the only one that was injured, which is unfortunate. And Moiraine wants to guide Rand into where she thinks he should be, which is to get this sword from the Stone of Tyr. And the sword is
Get it, guys? Sword in the stone?
yeah, haha.
Absolutely right.
Yeah, so smart. Look at this. Look at this. There's a bunch of thoughts and ideas that Robert Jordan has pulled from history and all sorts of things. And this is a very obvious one, but it works. But Rand doesn't want to go there, or kind of does. He's not sure. He's not
Yeah.
sure.
So this little gathering is kind of like, okay, what do we do next? We're all together, the five who departed the two rivers. Uh, we've come back, we've faced down an enemy, we've killed who we thought was the Dark One,
Mm-hmm.
but is not. Uh, and now now something horrible has happened in the White Tower, and we need to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And Rand is saying, yeah, Moiraine is pushing me to uh, go get this artifact, this crystal sword, which is a sangreal of the most powerful uh, amplifier for men's channeling that exists in this world. And with that, he can stand against the Forsaken. And the Forsaken, of course, were released last season. They're the mega powerful enemies from the Age of Legends, and now they are all coming for Rand and his friends.
Yes.
So there's an imminent danger there. Moiraine says you need to go and get yourself a weapon that's going to be able to defeat them, and that way you can also face the Dark One. Now, this does raise the question that Maureen asked earlier, which is, okay, why didn't you go get that before you faced Ishamael in season one?
Right.
But they were in a rush. Ishamael was doing something imminent, so they had to hurry there.
Yes.
But yes, now at least they're trying to arm themselves properly, and so that's
Yes.
what Moraine wants them to do. They're kind of debating it, and now we get to see sort of how people have changed.
Yes.
Mat is talking, and suddenly he switches languages. Well,
And he doesn't
that's the
even
old.
recognize it.
Yeah, he doesn't even know. He
Yeah.
just kind of switches, and we know that something is weird with him.
Yes. And Perrin has yellow eyes full time.
Of course, yes.
Which is a big
And,
a big deal to some people.
and
But
Kathy, you brought up a good point. So they've had a month to sail back
yes.
from Falm before they're here. So we don't have to do all that kind of recap reconciling. Is Mat, what's going on with you?
Yeah.
And you blow the horn. How do you feel about that? Perrin, what happened with your eyes? All of these different things. That's happened. We know about it. We
Yep.
saw the previously on. So now we can just move forward,
Yes.
which is good because we got a lot of ground to cover.
We have so much to fit into this, hour-long episode. And we're learning kind of where they want to go. They want to they want to stick together.
Yeah,
they're
and
safer
that's
together.
key here.
That is the biggest thing is they know what happened when they were separated before.
Right.
And they don't want that to happen again. And Moureen.
Well, in fairness, Egwene says together, Nynaeve agrees together. The others don't say anything.
Yeah,
That's true.
That's true. But listen, you're gonna listen to the bosses. You're gonna do what they say.
Hey, come
Yeah. Either way, the city is not safe, and they should prepare to go to Tyr at dawn. But she is going to allow them one more night of fun. Loial comes in with a why do we always have to leave at dawn? Why can't we leave after a hearty breakfast? To which I agree.
He's the biggest hobbit there is.
Yeah, the biggest hobbit. So the boys are gonna go for one last hurrah. Mat, of course, leads the charge in the let's go to the tavern. And the girls are gonna run off and have their moments together, but we're going to follow the boys down into the tavern where Mat is pondering his chances with the Aiel girls, wondering how that might work and if there's a chance, but probably not. Or maybe there is. I don't know.
Uh, and again, he slips into the old tongue and talks about maybe we all have a ginger girl to, yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
hook
Yes.
up with. So, um, but these, and of course the Aiel that he's talking about are Bain and Chiader and Avi and are following them,
Yep.
and there's a little scene that kind of seeds what's going on with them. They have come, they met up with them in Falm, because they're searching for the Karakarn, the chief of chiefs, um, which is something of their prophecies. It's not the dragon reborn, but it so happens that it coincides with the Dragon Reborn.
Mm-hmm.
They think Rand uh, is their prophesied leader.
Yes.
Um, and but he's not proven himself yet, so he's not going to take their orders.
Yep.
And they probably won't take his orders even after he's proven himself. But they're going to watch over
They're
him.
gonna try. They're gonna
They're
see
taking a
what
look.
happens. Yeah, and Avienda is definitely not having the Randness that's going on. She doesn't trust him. She doesn't believe him. But also, they're not gonna leave him alone.
Right.
And that's a delicate balance. What's not balanced is Mat's matting so hard. He brings the Horn of Valir with him to the tavern to get a portrait done where he's just pronouncing that, yes, Mat Cauthon from the Two Rivers, I am the horn blower, very loudly into public, getting a portrait drawn. People are hearing this. Doesn't seem like a good idea, but what do I know? It just yeah, this is not a good plan.
Mhm.
But a simple sheep shagger, a brooding blacksmith, and a devastatingly handsome gambler are gonna sit and just kind of have a drink and bond in a way that I'm sure that they bonded over that month traveling home. But here's this one last hurrah in the city before they know whatever's gonna happen, because clearly it's not gonna be an easy trip.
Yeah. And they got to talk about their love lives too,
Yes.
or at least Rand's. Um, Ra- they're still under the assumption that Rand has only been with Egwene, and he kind of gives a little smirk and oh hey, there's a story you haven't told us yet, and Rand does let on about Celine, older, beautiful woman, innkeeper. What he does not let on about Celine is that Celine is actually one of the Forsaken.
Yeah. Oh.
So he's kept that little detail to himself. Uh, that's actually Landfear. Uh,
Yes.
but they're sitting in the tavern. They're playing a game, which caught the eyes of all the book readers. It's a little game of snakes and foxes. So we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, and then Perrin, of course, out of Nynaeve's earshot, who insisted we should all be together. Perrin's kind of saying, "Yeah, guys, look at even Mat. He's charismatic. People will follow him. You're the dragon. You've got a job to do. I, you guys don't need me.
Yeah. And I want to go
So
home.
yeah, I'm not a leader. I don't have anything to do. He's got some stuff on his mind for uh, that he wants to do by returning home.
Yes.
So he's kind of laying the seeds for saying, "I'm going to say goodbye."
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. And so we're gonna say goodbye to the boys, and we're gonna move over to the girls. Egwene, Nynaeve, and Elayne are sitting in a quieter space, privately, and they're supporting Egwene through her PTSD. The fact that she's still having her trauma with Rhenna, she's still having nightmares. They're giving her space to heal, but also making sure that she sees that support.
yeah.
Um,
We'll just remind viewers that last season Egwene was a prisoner. She was sold by Leandrin, not even sold, just given to the Shan who enslave women who can channel.
mhm.
They put them in collars that demand obedience, and these women are broken through torture and psychological manipulation to become weapons for the Shan. and Egwene was subjected to that before, the final conflagration, and she got to fight her way free and kill her tormentor. But obviously, that still has had a lasting effect on her. She still has nightmares about this woman, and you know, she starts out by saying, uh, when I'm with Rand, I feel like I'm back home, but I can't. When I'm touched, it reminds me of Rena, my
Yeah.
tormentor, and so there's a lot of things that she's dealing with, and it's good to see that this show is not sweeping that away as
Yeah.
okay, that's last season, we're starting afresh.
Yes.
This is stuff that is weighing on Egwene.
Yeah, there's a level
Mhm.
of reality, and people can see themselves in this healing journey, I feel like. I really that was something that is kind of missing from the books, is the trauma that came from it. The show did a really good job of showing the how it affects the person that it happened to, and they're showing this progression and this journey of the healing from some absolutely horrifying, horrible things. Um and and i i can you can tell that it's on purpose, like that the choices that they made were choices that they made for this reason, and I think that's really special. It's something that other high fantasy shows with a lot of trauma never did. um and so that's really impressive. I really like that.
Yeah. One of the things that's the core characteristic that makes up Egwene is just her ability to not be broken. Because even back in season one, Nynaeve's telling a story of when she had breakbone fever when she was a little girl, and the old wisdom was going to help her die, basically. And Egwene's like, no, 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 I'm gonna beat it. And Nynaeve says very explicitly, Egwene's unbreakable. And
Yeah.
so, this is just continuing with that characteristic. She's
Yeah.
going to be continue to be unbreakable as the season continues, I
Yeah,
think.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And their moment of support ends as Swan comes in and basically tells Elayne that she needs to go away, enjoy her last night of freedom before she's back in Novice White, because she's not free anymore. She's not free to run around and do all of the things that she has been doing for the last month plus. And it's time to do whatever, but don't be here, basically. And Swan's gonna talk to the girls that Moiraine has brought from the Two Rivers. But Egwene, being the unbreakable Egwene, does not want to go back to Swan's Tower, because that is where clearly she knows that something's going on. Like, this is not a safe place. This is not the protected place that it used to be. And
Well,
Moiraine,
plus she's got that, she's with Rand.
yeah,
She's going to be with Rand.
Yeah.
Both she and Nynaeve said that they're going to stick together. This is important for them to win. So
yes,
her priorities are clearly not with the tower. They're with supporting her people.
yep, yep,
Um,
Mhm.
but Swan's going to do everything to try to dissuade Egwene from doing that. And one of the
yes,
ways she says is that uh, you know, your friend there is going to go mad. That is the nature of a male channeler. Eventually, they're going to go mad, and we're going to have to contain him. Uh,
yes.
and you're the one who knows him best. You're the one who can see the signs before anyone else does. So, you know, if you want to do right by Rand, you got to do right by me.
Yes. And
Mm.
also, if you leave to go to Rand, you're not going to be able to return
Yeah.
if you don't have the accepted ring. You're basically a runaway, and we can't have that. And so that is what kind of makes Egwene decide, finally, okay, I guess I will do this. This will have to do, I guess. And so
Yeah,
she,
like a compromise.
yes, a
She,
compromise.
yeah, she makes the condition that, yeah, okay, if I need the ring, then you're right, I will come back, but you will test me for the ring immediately.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
so
And
she has
throughout this
plans.
whole conversation, also Moiraine snuck in and is eavesdropping on
As she
the
does.
conversation, as she does indeed. And she's gathering this information, and is also going to be gathering information from Landfear, who has shown up to talk to Moiraine and Lan, but also Varen is talking to Moiraine first. They're discussing the control that is no longer had. Rand isn't under control. Varen had this level of trust for both Naomi and her sister, and now her sister's brain dead, and well, not brain dead. Her sister is
Damaged, certainly.
brain damaged significantly,
Mhm.
and Naomi betrayed them. And Varen asks if Moiraine can even believe who Rand is, as well as believe in the Dragon Reborn. That they're two different beings. Like one is the human behind it, and one is this massive person that's supposed to, protect the world or ruin it, or both. Then is where Landfear shows up and knows that Landfear also wants Rand to not be around Aes Sedai. She knows that the other Forsaken want him dead, and that Aes Sedai could possibly be black, could have control or do things that she doesn't want them to do, that also Moiraine doesn't want them to do, and that together they might be able to convince Rand to go to Tyr, maybe, if they're together.
Yeah.
But it's unsure.
I mean, there's a real bind that they're presenting about Rand, which is if he stays in the tower, he could fall victim to either the Black Aja, who might be serving the other Forsaken, and the other Forsaken, aren't like what was the quotation? Ishii was a gentle
Gentle
soul with
soul.
big dreams. Yeah, I mean, he wanted to control Rand. He was not trying to kill Rand outright, but his
But he
plans failed.
also had the memory of the dragon. They had both Ishii and Lanfear really loved Luce Theron and had this affection for the human that has reincarnated into Rand's reborn body. And that's something that the other Forsaken don't want. They just want him dead. Because if he's dead, he can't ruin their lives.
Yeah, they are here to murder Rand al'Thor because they're at war, and this guy's the guy who's supposed to, face our boss, and
Yes.
we need to take him off the board.
Yes.
That is what the rest of the Forsaken. So you have Aes Sedai, who might be secretly serving those Forsaken who want to kill Rand. You have Aes Sedai who want to cage Rand, stated explicitly.
Yep.
And basically that comes down to one, you got to get moving, you got to get out, and you can't stay in Tarvalon.
Yes.
That's not a safe place for Rand.
Yes.
So they agree on that. Lanfear and Moiraine agree on that, which is, kind of a crazy sort of alliance, especially how we saw them interact in season 2.
Yep.
They were going to, or Lanfear was certainly going to kill Moiraine if she saw her again.
Yes. Yes.
But now their causes are aligned, and they want Rand to do the same thing.
Yep.
Go get that mega powerful weapon.
The
Is it a
one
trap?
difference, though, is Lanfear wants Rand not to be around his friends. He wants Rand.
Yes.
She wants Rand to only listen to Lanfear, and
Right.
that is important. A little difference of who they are, and yet Moiraine says, "You think I will hurt him to get him to do what you want?" To which Lanfear replies, "Yes. To be honest, it's the only thing I like about you." And that kind of that has that level of like, I understand what your goal is. I know what you're trying to do. I know how far you're willing to take it, but I also know that you will not kill him. And
Yep.
but they also can't trust her. And so that's the delicate balance, which also is why Moiraine then sends Lan to get his king blade, the Malkiri blade that he left in the tower. Where did he? I need to know, where did he leave this? Is it like in a like?
That was the 14th depository.
Yes. The 14th depository is where the warders can put their secret stuff.
Even Varen doesn't know.
Yeah. But like, is it in Maureen's rooms that she doesn't have because she hasn't been a part of the tower for decades?
They gotta have quarters. Like, even the warders gotta have quarters.
Yeah, but would you leave a very expensive Malkiri blade like this?
Apparently.
I have some questions. Is what I'm saying.
Maybe he left it in the care of another warder.
Oh, okay, that would make sense. Okay, we'll believe that. I don't know which warder.
Safe deposit box.
Yeah, a safe deposit box. Yeah. But either way, this blade is what they will need to kill Landfear, because a similar blade is what killed a similar blade is what killed Ishi, and that is what they're going to need to finish that. So Lan is heading into the tower. Egwene has already joined into the tower. She is ready to go through her accepted test. The 3 Aes Sedai that are in charge of this test are Lyanna, Siuan, and Alviarin, which book readers will recognize the name. Again, we're not going to talk about that right now unless you're a book reader, or if you want to know the books. If you don't plan on ever reading the books, feel free to of course. We don't know you. We can't control you. You do whatever you want. You're a big person. You're grown up. You can make your decisions. Or unless you're a kid. And then if you're a kid, you can also make these decisions. I don't know. We're going to move on. Egwene is going is going through the testing. And this is where we see an image was one of the images that was released was Egwene, Elayne, and Nynaeve on horseback in very different outfits than they normally wear. And this is where we learn that Egwene is the Amirlin, and then Elayne and Nynaeve are also there, and they have to take care of the madman Rand, who Nynaeve witnessed killing Perrin and Mat. So they know that he is crazy now. There is no idea of any sort of protection. They're like, this is the end. And so Egwene has to take care of the situation, because the Dragon Reborn is not safe, even for his closest friends.
Yeah, and let's give viewers a reminder of what these tests are. So last season we saw Nynaeve go through these rings, and you go through 3 times, and you face your fears, and it's of the past, it's of the present, and it's of the future. Well, we don't see the full sequence of what Nynaeve saw, though I think they'll be referenced as we go, kind of flashback wise.
Yeah.
But this is what we saw here is an echo of what Siuan just told Egwene, that your best friend, your love, is going to go mad, is going to kill everyone around him, and only you can give us the leverage and give us the knowledge we need to stop that from happening, or at least to stop him, to contain his damage.
Yes.
And so naturally that's on her mind. She goes through the rings, and what does she see? She sees Rand in full madman mode. He's murdered his best friends, and she has to deal with him. And when she comes out of the rings, we don't see the full sequence of what happens, but when she stumbles out, she's covered with blood, presumably his, because she was going to deal decisively with Rand.
And we don't know if this is the first one, if this interaction with Rand is the first ring, or the second, or the third. Either way,
or all
of them. If it's 3 versions of this, we don't know. Maybe we'll have references in the future, but all we do know is the final one, she comes out covered in blood and gets the ring, and basically is like, peace, I'm out of here. I did what I said I was going to do. I was going to return to the tower. You were going to give me the ring. I didn't say I was going to stay. So, bye. My
Yeah.
duty is to the light, not Swan or the tower.
I think this is where we were, Maureen, you and I were talking, was uh, Swan's plans. She doesn't plan them very well.
Yeah.
Like if she wanted to keep Egwene around, she really didn't have a good way of doing that.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
you know, Egwene has certainly outplayed her at this
Yeah.
point. Uh,
Yeah.
what can
And
we do? She's
yeah.
losing control. I think that's kind of a
Yes,
theme
it is.
of things,
Mhm.
is that Swan is losing control of events in the
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, she
tower.
can't even
Yeah.
control the novices. That's
Yeah, right.
a big deal.
Accepted now. Thank you very much.
Well, yeah, but she was
She
was
was
a
a
novice
Yoink.
talking to her
Yeah.
as
And,
an
here's
equal.
the Amirlan, the leader of all of the Aes Sedai, and she cannot even control Egwene, who's a
Mhm.
baby compared to her.
Yeah.
And I think
Although, are we to take from it that she's losing control, or are we to take from it that folks like Nynaeve and Egwene are, you know, are
Outliers.
that special?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to see because it could be any of those things. It could
Yeah.
be a combination of all.
Mhm.
But either way, Egwene is not going to stay and continue her training. She is going
Mhm.
to leave with Rand.
Yeah.
Nynaeve and Lan are back together. They have had a lovely evening. And they're talking, they're bonding. Nynaeve has revealed to Lan kind of a little bit about what she saw through the arches. I'm assuming this came up because she knows that Egwene was going through and
Mhm.
was nervous for her because Nynaeve knew the heartbreaking moments of this entire life that she lived through the arches. Through that third arch was the one that will remind you she had this happy life. Lan, they had a baby. Mat and Perrin came to visit often, I'm assuming, based on the baby's reactions. But you basically, she has lived through an entire pregnancy and multiple years of having a daughter. And Lan asks if they were happy, and she says yes, we were happy, but also not, because they had given up what they really wanted. They found happiness in the life that they had chosen, but it's not the life that they really wanted, because Nynaeve had a level of protection that she felt over with Rand, and for the rest of the Two Rivers folk, and the fact that she gave that up for love, was kind of haunting her.
Yeah. And I think, it's not a spoiler in the books to say that these are themes that are echoed in both venues, the show and the books, where there's this sort of, there is your duty and there is the thing that you want. And if you place the thing that you want prematurely ahead of duty, things go badly. But there is a sense also that by doing your duty, it will lead you to what you want, and you will have earned it by then.
Yeah.
And that's what the accepted testing is all about as well. It's gonna tempt you with things that you don't want to give up, but must give up,
Yes.
in order to be able to earn that. So like, Nynaeve's happy ending with Lan, certainly. Uh, a better outcome for Rand, for Egwene.
Mm-hmm.
All of these things are elements that these tests are kind of weaving around,
Yeah.
these women who face them.
And it also, one of the quotes from the books that is fairly popular, and it wasn't created by Robert Jordan, but that's where most of us know it from, is duty is heavier than a mountain, death is lighter than a feather. And this idea that the choices that they made, that they're making now to fulfill their duty, because it would be easy enough for them to just run away. Lan and Nynaeve I would imagine that Lan would be willing to run away with her if she wanted. And they're not going to. They're going to stay, and they're going to protect Rand, support Moiraine, do what they need to do, the duty that they need to do to help the world survive as best they can.
Yeah.
And then presumably they then, fade to black. They slept together because they're now naked. And Lan has the Hodori in his hand, which I guess he takes off whenever he has sex. That seems so weird. Like, I don't know.
He keeps his boots on, though, that's for sure.
Yeah, the boots are on, but the Hodori is off because, oh my gosh, it's so scandalous. And the Hodori, of course, is the little, like, headband thing that Lan wears. But they're talking...
The mark of a Valkyrie man.
Yes, yes. But they are talking about this sword. Lan has retrieved his father's sword, which he feels unworthy of. Not because he got it, not because he is worthy, but because he is weak, because he needs it. So presumably the sword, maybe in the museum, like a history museum, maybe one of the Browns has taken it and is like, oh, we're gonna, study this or something. But either way, wherever it was, it's now in his possession because he needs it in order to protect his people.
I got a glimmer too of like in Lord of the Rings, Aragorn. He Narsil, his blade or his ancestral blade was on display in was it Rivendell or in the other place? But
I think Rivendell.
But it was a historical artifact that was there, but now it has to be brought back into use.
Yeah.
So again, it's this whole symbol of your duty, the Valkyrie King's sword. This is a symbol of office. This is also Lan's failure. It's not really his failure, but he thinks of it as his failure.
Yeah, he thinks it's
because his nation has died. He was a baby at the time, but
right. So he literally could do nothing. But he's gonna carry this duty, this mountain on his back a lot because he could not save his people.
Yeah. So by carrying this blade, he is the king who has a responsibility to, and we will see that there is a diaspora of Valkyrie. People fled the Blight before it took over the country, and now there are all these expatriates. They're people without a nation, and he is their king.
Yeah.
But he is the king of nothing right now.
Yeah. And he doesn't want to be the king of anything. Yeah. And the only reason he has it is because it is power wrought, which means it can be used to kill Forsaken. And that is what he's going to do, especially because they're going to come after the people. They're going to, it's not going to be just Rand. He needs to protect the love of his life. He needs to protect Nynaeve. And the only way that he can do that is with this sword.
Yeah, and a bit of lore dropping since we mentioned the three oaths before, and as Maureen said, one of the oaths is to not create a weapon for one man to kill another. This is how old this sword is. The sword predated the three oaths.
Yes.
When actually Aes Sedai were creating weapons, and they were doing it actually to destroy Trollocs. This was during the Trolloc Wars.
Yep.
So
it's a very, very old sword.
Yes.
We then head over to Elayne, who hands over two letters. One is to be sent to Tyr, and one is for Queen Morgase's eyes only. She then picks up a gigantic basket full of apples, because she's going to make some of whatever alcohol she's drinking. Cider, brandy, apple brandy, I don't know. But Avi and
she's got one night to do it.
One night to do it.
It's got to be with the power.
Yes. Clearly she's going to use her power to have
fermentation.
Some fast fermentation. What an incredible skill. We learned in season 2 we see her use this weave, and it's not very good alcohol, but I'm gonna guess that she's probably gotten a little bit better, and it probably tastes a little bit better.
Yeah.
But Avienda is watching her, and basically says that the Cardacarn has no use for me, and this wetland city is not safe. To which Elayne says, I can take care of myself. And Avi says, do you want me to go? A little bit of a moment together.
Little flirty.
Flirty
Yeah.
flirt. And Elayne exposes the fact that she knows maiden hand talk, which Avienda says that careful, you're going to be taken as an Aiel. With that hair and that skin, and the fact that you can hand talk, you could be an Aiel. So be careful. Ha 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 ha. But Elayne also lets Avienda know that even though Rand is inexperienced with power, he will do his duty. There's a level of worthiness that Elayne has seen in Rand, but also with his honor, he knows that he's going to do what he has to do for the Aiel, and they're going to do the best that they can, and she's going to help him with that.
And I think this is a great distinction that we're seeing illustrated in this episode. And in this episode, we learn what the second letter is. It's to one of her contacts in Tyr. She's the daughter heir. She's politically savvy. She has contacts in all nations, and we're going to learn a little bit more about that. But she's helping Rand do what he needs to do. And that stands in contrast to what Swan was doing, which is just like, I'm going to put you in a cage until we're ready to launch you at the Dark One. What Moiraine and Landfear seem to be doing, we're going to isolate you, we're going to drive you to go get your weapon, and then we're probably going to launch you to do what you're going to do. Versus, okay, now Egwene is saying, I'm going to stand by you. Nynaeve also wants to do the same thing. Elayne says, I'm going to use my political influences to actually help you because they're actually making plans. These things don't happen just through the pattern making them happen. You've got to be an actor in this. You've got to set up the conditions for success. And they're all doing their part to do it. So, the young are wiser than the old, as so many stories like to show.
Yes. Rand and Loial are studying the prophecies of the dragon because you definitely want an Ogier to come and be your study buddy because he's gonna know all of the things. And you learn that Rand learns that the Stone of Tyr will not fall until Kalendor is pulled from the stone. And also the Stone of Tyr will not fall until the people of the dragon come, whoever they are. And Rand is just like, yeah, this is my army. I don't know who they are, but let's find an army. And Elayne arrives to kind of pass on that knowledge that whoever takes the Stone of Tyr will be Tyr's king, and that it will be the first nation he conquers, but not the last. And so he's going to use so Elayne is going to use her support and knowledge that she has to give Rand what he needs.
Yeah. Because you don't need to take a nation through conquest. People don't want to fight that way. They and they know what everybody knows of the prophecies of the dragon. They know what's going to happen. The people in Tyr know that the dragon will come and to take Kalendor. So why not engineer it in a way that works for Tyr?
Yep.
And there's another path rather than straight up slash and burn conquest. So that's what Elayne is trying to help him set up. And Randa's enchanted by this notion. Hey, there's someone who's actually knows about this stuff, who's willing to help me.
Who's not an Aes Sedai too?
Yes.
Because there's a level of, oh yeah, I'm sure Moiraine knows things, but I'm not going to fully trust her because
she's got her own
agenda.
Yeah. Elayne seems like his first encounter with Elayne, she healed him.
Yeah.
So, and she's closer to his age. So, this is someone who perhaps I can trust and is coming to me with help unasked for.
Yes.
And that's great. So he wants her to come along with him, but of course she has her own duties. She says, I got to do my own thing here,
Yep.
but I am a friend to the
Yes.
Dragon Reborn. Andor is a friend to the Dragon Reborn.
Yes. And that's a level of trust that he can keep. Um, Rand and Maureen also discuss how Tyr could be a trap by the
Mhm.
Forsaken, and in fact, it probably is.
Probably is.
Yeah, and Rand wants to go home, but an army of farmers can do nothing, and there's going to be no homecoming for
Cough,
him.
cough.
Yeah. And Rand says, "You can't tell me what to do anymore." And they kind of have that moment of separation of hey, listen, I'm gonna do what I want to do. And whatever you are saying, I'm probably gonna do the opposite. So be that what it is.
And I think even Elayne drops the idea here that you know she's conveying the conversation that she had with Avienda that you got to do right by the people, these
Yeah.
the Aiel, and they will be loyal to you. You are part of their prophecies and their future as well. So, you have a duty to them, but they're also going to be loyal to you in a way that does not involve politics, does not involve any of these things. So,
Yep.
I think that this happened in the same room, in the same scene where we're supposed to put two and two together. The people of the dragon are probably the Aiel.
Yeah.
And I think he's already concluded that this is an army that will allow me to take Kalendor, even if it is a trap being set by the Forsaken. I can have some of the deadliest fighters in the world at my back, loyal to me.
Yes.
To the Aes Sedai, not to anybody else, but to
Loyal to
me.
me. Yep.
Yeah.
And so the plan is starting to come together.
Yep. Yep. And speaking of the Aiel, they're hanging out. They're joining Elayne and Mat and Perrin and Loial in the tavern. Elayne has brought her alcohol. They're cheersing. Mat says to seeing double and staying single, which I love as a quote. It's so fun. And Mat decides to shoot a shot. He's going to shoot a shot for the Aiel. And they decide to teach him Maiden's Kiss, which is basically you have your spears and you poke them on the boy, and they if the maiden likes the kiss, she loosens the point. If she does not, she stabs him a little more. We're gonna see how the kissing does in the future because he's got some wounds on his neck. But before they start, Loial says, "Let me ready my quill and notebook." And they offer it to Perrin as well, who looks shocked and surprised and very entertained.
For him, discretion is the better part of valor.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes. And then Elayne doesn't want to witness this game. She probably knows what's going to happen, and instead goes to sit and bring Avienda a drink. And they have a little drink, and then Avienda kisses Elayne, to which Elayne says, "Finally," and they have a wonderful moment together.
Everybody's kissing.
Yay, kisses!
Everybody's hugging.
I love it. Yes.
You gotta relax on your final night before you start doing your duties. So
Yep. Yep.
that's what this is. This is the night before things start to get serious.
Yeah, and so they're going to have as much fun as they can. And Rand and Egwene are also going to try and have as much fun as they can. But of course, they're still dealing with the trauma that Egwene has brought, because all of everything that happened is still here. But she does want to try. She wants to show to Rand that she's with him until the end. And that she is ready to do what she can to support him and show that she loves him.
And then it's time to sleep, or at least rest and try to relax for the night. But it is not a good night. all sorts of things happen. We cut among all of the characters, and it's kind of an interesting scene in juxtaposition to watch. So, uh, with Perrin and Loial and the two Ben and Chiad, the two maidens of the spear, they get involved with an axe that suddenly frees itself from its chopping block and tries to kill them. And this is after Perrin has had these restless dreams of killing the White Cloak, Giafram Bornhald, with an axe. So remember last season, he kind of flew into a rage. His best doggy Hopper died and was killed by the White Cloaks, and Perrin lost it and started swinging around with an axe like he did in the first season, and in his mind, he committed murder.
Yeah.
He killed a man in hot blood.
Yes.
So he lost control, and that's something that was bothering him. And now the axe is suddenly trying to kill everybody around him.
Yeah.
You know, Nynaeve and Mat are still down in the tavern, and Mat is kind of revealing his troubles. Nynaeve has noticed he's slipping into the old tongue. Uh, Mat complains he's got these horrific memories of battles and screaming. It all happened after he blew the horn. He never leaves the horn anymore. He keeps it with him. He's worried, and he's hurting more than he lets on. And Nynaeve, you know, reassures him that she is still his wisdom
Yes.
and she is going to help him. She doesn't know how yet, but she will find a way. And that is so comforting to Mat because he needs that. He needs that mother figure. And,
Yes.
if we think back to the previous seasons, his mother is not someone he could have ever leaned on. So Nynaeve
Yeah.
probably was a mother figure to him.
Yeah.
And it's so important for him to have that support, to have someone he can lean on. But as the night goes on, he's looking at his playing cards, and suddenly they start moving. The figures on the cards start moving. They start bleeding and looking like they're ready to do battle. And he's mesmerized by this. He can't look away from this. Meanwhile, Nynaeve is trying to shake him out of it, but someone comes in, this creepy looking guy with gray skin and white eyes who stabs her
Yes.
repeatedly. So there's an attack there. Mat's mesmerized. Perrin and folks are attacked, and in the bedroom, Round, it looks like, tries to strangle Egwene. And she wakes up and she tries to, but Rand is also asleep beside her. And so there are all these attacks happening
Yes.
from different Rands jumping out of the mirror. And then they have to start fighting.
Yeah.
And then we have the weirdest scene of all.
Yes.
With all of these sounds of distress, we see Lan and Moiraine sitting in a room by a fireplace, looking troubled, but not moving,
Yeah.
not leaving.
They clearly hear it, but they're not doing anything to stop it. The big battle really is in Rand's room for the most part. Egwene manages to channel into one of the mirrors, which makes one of the doubles disappear, and she makes sure that Rand knows, hey, this is how you get rid of them. Get rid of the mirrors, you're going to get rid of these doubles. And so he embraces the one power and explodes all of the mirrors everywhere, but then he doesn't want to release the power. He doesn't want to give it up. And it's Egwene is yelling at him, trying to get him to release before he finally eventually does. Loial destroys the axe, saving Bane, Chiad, and Perrin. And Nynaeve, as she's dying, again, another person stabbed, still alive.
Many times.
Calls for Lan.
11
times.
11 times.
11 times is stabbed, and calls for Lan, and that is when Lan finally is like, no, this is not what I signed up for, and comes in, kills the gray man, and that snaps Mat out of his trance. Thankfully, Moiraine is there to heal. Lan is furious, and Nynaeve comes to the realization that the Forsaken have found them, which is obviously very true. But the thing is that this Forsaken is Landfear. Landfear was behind the attack, and says that when Lan accuses her of hurting Nynaeve, Landfear's like, I didn't touch Nynaeve. That's not what I did. To which Lan says, no, she was stabbed 11 times, and the surprise that happens is like obvious on her face, because Landfear realizes that a different Forsaken has sent somebody to kill Landfear.
This is a creature called a gray man, and only one other Forsaken can create a gray man. So Nynaeve was right. The Forsaken, plural, have found them.
Yes. Yes. And it's time to get Rand out of the city.
Yeah.
But this moment has also caused some discourse with the group. Nynaeve needs to stay to learn to channel, because she could not channel to protect herself. She could not channel to protect Mat, and this is not good. There's only one place that she can learn this, and that's in the tower. Mat also is going to stay in the tower because he trusts that Nynaeve will be able to help heal him, and get those memories, maybe whatever happened, why it's happening, the old tongue happening, all of this, no one knows, but Nynaeve is going to support Mat in what's happening, and that's important. And Rand takes a moment to, since they're going to be split up anyways, might as well send Perrin home, so somebody can go home. Someone can support, the hometown, and it's Perrin. Perrin wants to go. Who, by the way, lost his wedding ring in in the axe attack. There's a
highly symbolic axe.
Yes, very symbolic.
It splits the ring on his finger, and now I guess he can move on. Is that what that means?
I think so.
Like that.
That's kind of a symbolic moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he tried to put his ring on the Beltane lantern in season 2. So he was almost ready. And so he just needed that final push, I think.
He just needed an axe to split it off his finger.
Yes. And Egwene is going to stick with Rand because that is what they promised. And Loial is going to take Perrin home. But Bane and Chiad, of course, feel indebted to Loial, so they are also going to travel with Perrin and with Loial, because that is what they need to do, which works out. But Nynaeve is telling Lan, Nynaeve and Lan have a moment. Clearly, Lan was worried about Nynaeve, obviously. And they have a very sweet, special moment where Lan understands and gives Nynaeve his mother's ring. This moment of
and this is explicitly a marriage pledge, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
They don't say that word, but that's what it is.
Mat hands over a poster, the drawing that he did, so that they can remember him.
That's right.
And Nynaeve has a moment of connection with Rand to remember who you are, no matter what you become. This moment of keeping. It's important to be who you are, no matter what happens. You're the Dragon Reborn, but you're always Rand first.
Yeah. And this is interesting because it stands in contrast to something that Landfear had told Moiraine before. Why she wants to split up the group is that she feels Rand cannot become what he must if he's constantly reminded of who he was. And, that's something Egwene said, I feel like we're back in the Two Rivers when I'm with him. I feel like my old self. But then, this trauma is interfering. So there's this new dichotomy that we're talking about, which is what you must be and what you were.
Yeah.
And whether it's a true binary where you've got to choose one or the other, and there are two camps that are saying, well, you should stick to this or you should stick to that, and
Mhm.
that's going to be another tension that flows through the series, really, but
Yeah.
certainly this season,
Yeah.
is what you become and what of yourself that you bring along
Yes.
to inform what you become.
Yes. And the last person who needs to claim where they're going to go is Avi, who is going to stay with Rand. Even though she hates him, she's going to stay with him. And at the last minute, Rand decides that they're not going to Tyr, but instead they're going to the Isle Waste, and they're going to gather his army to fight the Shadow.
And I think this wins over Avienda a little bit,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It seems to, because now he's aligning with her purpose.
Mhm.
And again, it's like all of the older generation's purposes that they're trying to enforce on Rand, and Rand is finding with the younger generation, with his generation, people to align with that feels more right to him.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. And then the last scene, the whisper, spooky, scary whisper, softly, softly
Mhm.
from the shadows. Absolutely terrifying.
Mhm.
Moghedien is playing with a man who's strung up by the spider webs, um, and says, "Do you not? Do you know what happens when we break our dark codes? We lose our souls, a true death. But if you ask for it, then you become something different. Do you want to be great, Jai
Nineteen.
Yeah.
Do you
Okay,
want to be
and
great?"
this is where the captions come in,
Yes.
Mhm.
because I went back and I listened to this again, and I'm sure I heard it, but who knows? Uh, she says something about we could become dark or we could become light or we could become something in between, something
Mhm.
gray. So whether it's gray or great, I don't
Yes.
know,
Great.
I think
but
it's
Yeah.
great. Rajiv thinks it's
I
great.
I heard I heard great, but
okay,
we'll
but
see.
he's good. She
Either
wants to
way.
turn him into a gray man,
Yes.
and that requires him to consent to it. This is a consensual
Yes, a consensual
transformation into
torching.
a monster. Yeah. But to extract that consent, basically, she's torturing him,
Yes.
and
In the
finally he
most
relents.
creepy, creepy
Oh yeah,
way.
it's horrible.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
Fingers in.
but
Beautiful, beautiful scene. Terrible scene. Beautiful and terrible. That is, kind of what's going on with
Mhm.
all of this.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and we also see just a little detail for people keeping track. We saw all of the Age of Legends channelers from the Forsaken to when we flashed back to Luz Theron and L'Autre Posé de Cum. They had this little bracelet that covered some of their fingers. And we see that Moghedien has one of those too, and there are
Mhm.
different theories as to what that might be. I think everybody just had an engrail of their own because that was easy technology to have. It amplifies your power. But,
Yeah, I
whatever it
think
is.
it's kind of a symbol of Aes Sedai. But either way, Moghedien has one. And she then is going to send this new little dark gray man to find someone. Who is it? We don't know. Not yet, anyways. And that is the end of episode 1. Whew!
Very solid episode. Like just
So solid.
fast and the pacing and the intrigue and the everything. So
Everything
good.
in
Yeah.
this. Yeah, there's so much in this. And there's a reason that they had an event last weekend as we record this. It's Tuesday, March 11th. On the 8th, they had an event where they showed this entire episode for a group of people, and had some behind the scenes filmed and a Q&A, and basically just like, let's lean into this. And what a way to get started. Really, like,
Mhm.
leaning into the passion and the stress and the glory, and it just feels so Wheel of Time. It is so Wheel of Time.
Mhm.
And I'm so excited for the rest of the season. But before then, shall we discuss book spoilers?
Let's
Yes,
do the
please.
book
Yes,
spoilers.
Play the horn of Valir, the spoiler horn of Valir. Maureen, do you want to start with Lan and Nynaeve? I know those are your
Oh my
favorites.
God. Yes, they're some of my favorites. Gosh, but what to say about them? There's just too much. So I like that the ring he gives her is his mother's ring instead of his signet ring,
Right.
because it does have that um implied this is a betrothal. This isn't just like, oh, here's my high school ring, wear it on your neck. And it's like, this is my mother's ring. It was worn by the most powerful Valkyrie queens, and I don't want anyone else as my queen but you.
Yeah.
So I like that they changed that. It was
Yes.
more symbolic, more meaningful.
Yeah, because in the books, there's very much this, oh, I cannot make you a widow before you're married or whatever. Like, this dramatic moment. The fact that they're.
You want me to quote the whole thing?
Yeah, sure, do it. Prove your innocence. No, it's fine. It's fine. We don't need to. There's definitely this level of a tortured star-crossed lovers thing, and I love that they're just like they're letting them love each other. Like we don't have enough time to expand this will they won't they thing the way that the books did for so many books. And so
Well, these are older characters.
Yeah.
They started out more mature. This is a different sort of ethos for romantic and sexual relationships. It's they don't have the same sort of reluctance and wide-eyed country prudery
Yes.
sort of thing.
Yes.
These are more sophisticated and savvy people who are who know who've been around the block.
Yes.
This is not their first relationship. They know how to do it.
Yeah.
So
Well, and I mean, yeah. We don't know what Nynaeve's experience was beforehand because I'm assuming that it would be difficult with the wisdom.
Yeah.
But
I think they're just more frank. Like
Yeah.
in the books, there are definitely some strong sexual taboos and mores going
Yes.
on. But Nynaeve and Lan have already slept together.
Yeah, that's not here, and you see that also with the Avi and Elayne relationship. In the books, there's no explicit any of this. They're very much segmented out, very polygamy. The Rand, Elayne, Avi and Min relationship, and Rafe has stated that he has already warned everybody this is changing, which I appreciate. We've seen better examples of poly characters with Alana with Ivan and Maxim, and by presenting Elayne and Avienda as having had a relationship at some point, it opens it up for the relationship with Rand to be a different type of one. And I think I really appreciate that, especially because it means we're not going to have the very annoying part where Avienda is just passionately like, oh, don't look at her. You can only think of Elayne. And that was just it was so much. It was a lot. And so not having to deal with that, I think is a bonus.
Yeah.
And in the books, they talk about the relationship that Elayne and Avienda have is very, very closer than first sisters is what it says. And it just kind of makes sense. I know so many people are going to be so angry. It's fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like whatever. It's good. Let's have it happen. Plus they're so cute together.
They are very cute together.
So cute together.
Yeah, they got a lot of good chemistry.
Yes. So much chemistry, which I really appreciate.
Yeah. In fact, until you told me that Rafe had said he's going to maintain that, he's just going to complicate it. I was thinking that Rand wouldn't have a romantic involvement with Elayne, Avienda, or for that matter, Min, because all we've seen are Min and Mat together. So we haven't seen them really interact at all. But and they've preserved, at least so far, the Egwene relationship,
Hmm.
which kind of dropped off early
Hmm.
Yeah.
in the book. They had outgrown each other and they'd gone their
Yeah.
separate ways. So
Yeah.
I didn't know if the whole dynamic was up for
Yeah.
grabs or whether it would be revisited in some way.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I
In
know.
season one,
Oh, go ahead.
Min's viewing did see Rand surrounded by three beautiful women. She did say that.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, right,
um,
right.
Yeah.
That's
I
true.
think, yeah,
And he was holding
it's
a
there.
baby too, but we don't
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
whose.
We don't know
Whose
whose.
baby?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all of their baby.
Someone's someone's baby.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
and
the
then
collective baby.
I know there have been some concerns with the fact that Rand and Egwene have their relationships still.
Mhm.
But I think there's something to be said with this level of comfort and a level of home because Rand does want to go home, but he
Mhm.
knows that he can't. And so by having
Yeah.
having this connection with someone who's safe, a comfort, this friendship that has been so deep and
Mhm.
they grew up together. They were
Yeah.
probably each other's first loves, first anything. And
Mhm.
anyone that's had a long-term relationship knows that that leaves an imprint on your person.
Mhm.
And so in the wake of all of these massive changes, you're gonna go back
Mhm.
to somebody that makes you feel like home.
Oh
It's a
yeah. Yeah,
comfort.
definitely.
And especially with Egwene and the trauma that she's received by having someone that she knows is safe, that she can work through the healing of being
Mhm.
touched, of having that connection with somebody, and I think that's really special.
With reading the books, I know a large consensus of the people are mad when Min tells Rand right away, she's not for you or you're not for her,
Yeah.
not in the way you both want it. And a lot of people are like, why? Because it ends so soon in the books.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
I think having this, it needs to reach the organic ending point. And
Yes.
it's not there yet.
Yeah.
I think we'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
I don't think she's one of the three beautiful women.
Yeah.
But, it doesn't sound just like, oh, all of a sudden we're going to stop and go
Right.
our separate ways.
Yep. Yep. Just like, oh, suddenly now Lan and Nynaeve can start their relationship. Like
Yeah. Right.
it felt very, I love Robert Jordan. I love his writing and stuff, but the way he does these relationships is not the strongest. And so having this some notes that I made the when watching this season is that this show is really about relationships, and it's not
Yeah.
just the stable relationships or like the traditional Hollywood relationships,
Hmm.
mother son or mother child, siblings, lovers, enemies. Like those
Hmm.
are the only
Yeah.
ones. Like there's so many different layers of friendships, and the fact that relationships change and that's okay, and learning to accept and grow as a person based on what someone else needs. And I think that's something
Hmm.
really powerful to have out in public, and to have something that's making it, whatever relationship you identify as, whatever interaction that you have is acceptable. Like this is a good relationship to
Hmm.
have if both sides are consenting, if everyone is consenting
Yeah.
and wants this, then that's an okay relationship to have.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, next up I want to talk about the bubble of evil versus
Yeah.
Landfear.
Yeah.
I personally think this is a great change because the bubble of evils I always thought was really stupid. And they kind of happened, but it's just like, oh, it's the dark one. Like, yes, I get it. Oh, he's getting stronger. He's reaching out into the world, yada, yada, yada. But it's so conveniently like, it's a story, it's a plot point that's just like, oh, it's time for some conflict. And like I
Hmm.
like that it's a little bit more purposeful, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
this
Oh,
this
yeah.
this drove the plot certainly. I loved the bubbles of evil, and
Yeah, I did too.
the reasons I liked it was one, it injects this level of cosmic horror
Hmm.
into Jordan, which he's got a lot of. I mean, Shadar Logoth, the way he wrote it
Oh yeah.
was all about cosmic horror.
Oh my gosh.
Uh,
Amazing.
just unknowable. things that you can't understand. The world is falling apart. It's unraveling. Like the fabric of the universe is literally unraveling.
Yeah.
And it also gave him a chance to sort of externalize the internal traumas. Like Matt was attacked by all of his playing cards, which is kind of uh, one is his gambling and his chance kind of cycling back on him, but it's also like all
Hmm.
of these battles, and you see a little glimmer of that in the
Yeah.
playing cards in the show too. It's these different fighters of different eras with
Yeah.
bleeding and also drawing blood. Uh, and of course, it's pretty obvious. Perrin's axe
Hmm.
is
Yeah.
his own source of trauma, but it got to do all of those little internal things and externalize people's problems,
Yeah.
and he does that all over the place, including with the tests.
Yes.
Those are internal traumas coming out and manifesting
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
themselves.
yeah.
So I enjoyed it, but this does accelerate the plot a little bit. It makes me wonder exactly what the limits of Lanfear's powers are, especially when you
Yeah.
talk about bad guys jumping out of mirrors.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
we can explain that away.
Well, yeah, and I think there's a level of power and being able to concentrate. I know at one point, Rajiv, you mentioned, oh well, you could just make an army, but like the limits of having a couple people attacking versus hundreds of people like in this tiny little spot. It's just in a little room. You're pulling it from the mirror. Like I feel like that's well within a Forsaken's skill
Well,
level.
yeah.
But
I mean,
yeah.
to the extent that you can create a being out of a
Hmm.
reflection, sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yes.
So I think, so one of the things I wanted to talk about with the books as well is that this bubble of evil thing happened in the books. It happened in book four. It happened in the Stone of Tyr.
Hmm.
And, this goes back to something that the show has deviated from, which is, you know, episode or season one was book one, season two was book two, season three is really book four.
Yeah.
It's gotten a lot of or it's got a few elements, I should say, of
Hmm.
book three, The Dragon Reborn, but it's really the Shadow
Yeah.
Rising. And
Yeah.
I think that all pivots on this notion of the people of the dragon.
Hmm.
And I think they really streamlined this. They allowed one scene to put two and two together and say, it was a big
Hmm.
surprise when the Aiel were revealed in the books as the
Hmm.
people of the dragon. Moiraine was sure it was going to be the army of Tyr, who, under Rand's command, would then be able to go forth and conquer, and that was the people of the dragon. But no, it's this, Moiraine was wrong.
Yep.
Uh, all of the people who are plotting are wrong, but the pattern is weaving this web where other people are coming in, other cultures are coming in, and what is meant to be will be in ways that nobody expects.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool when you're reading, double-digit novels.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you have a show of indeterminate number of seasons, you
Yeah.
kind of have to
Hmm.
cut to the chase. And so,
And it gives us these characters, the Aiel, that
yeah,
are
yeah.
so incredible. Like the
And they're such an important part of
such
this
an
history.
important part,
Hmm.
and it's such an important part
Yeah.
of Rand specifically too,
Mhm.
that it makes sense to bring them in sooner, and it makes
Yeah.
sense to be able to explain this. And it like just swapping the Waste and Tyr and having Tyr come later,
Yeah.
especially because you're not going to have the stupidness of Rand. Okay, I have Kalendor, and now I'm going to just stab it back into
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
the
We get to
stone.
Right.
actually use
Yeah.
it.
It was
Like,
And
pointless.
and I think what
Hmm.
you're alluding to is something that I think we can all look forward to if we get a season four, which is uh,
Hmm.
the Stone of Tyr and Kalendor is probably going to. It was so heavily name dropped. It was so part of this
Hmm.
planning. That's going to be season four.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
And things are going to escalate because we
yes,
are going to have the strongest sangreal of a man in Rand's hands by then.
Yeah.
And who
And
knows?
you'll have a level of control. He's
Yeah.
obviously he doesn't have a ton of control right now, but he has a lot of power, and so hopefully, but as time passes, he's going to gain some of that control so that it becomes more of an option for him to actually be in control. But again, not just swinging the sword around for one event and then it disappears until the end.
Yeah.
Like, because
Right.
isn't it
Yeah.
only in like Towers of Midnight that he sends
Yeah, it's way
whoever
later.
to
Yeah.
come
Narishma
back?
goes and gets
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So it like
Narishma goes and gets it.
yeah,
And the problem is that, well, no, he uses it in Crown of Swords and things like that, but the problem is it becomes too wild to wield. Like
Yeah.
he tries to throw the Shanshan back into the sea with it, but it amplifies the taint so much, or the corruption in this case, so much
Yeah.
that, he's afraid of going mad
yeah. Well, and
by
Yeah.
using it.
to in the it'll be interesting to see if this carries over, but in the books, the thing with Kalendor is that there's no limit, like safeguard
no
built
buffer.
in. Yeah, no buffer, so you can just keep channeling and pull in everything and explode basically, as Lews Therin did to create Dragonmount, the mountain by Tarvalon. But it'll be interesting to see if that continues on or if they're going to be combining, like if Kalendor is just going to be like
The Chosen Call.
the Chosen Call, and
Yeah.
that's going to be what's hopefully used in the future.
Yeah.
We
And
don't know.
let's talk about that, I think, for next episode.
Yes,
too.
yes.
One thing that we should call out, when Lanfear was talking with Moiraine and Lan, she basically confirmed, Kathy, your bet with Jason Denzel, founder of Dragonmount.
Yes.
There are only 8 Forsaken, not 13 Forsaken.
Yep.
Now, who they are, we'll talk about later.
Yes, but as of right
but-
now, there's only 8. And we know Ishi and Landfear and Moghedien. Those are the 3 that we know for sure right now. And so stay tuned for Jason Denzel doing something silly on live because he lost a bet. What can I say?
That was
I'm
the bet.
always right. I'm
Always
always
right.
right. Except for when I'm not. But we're not talking about that. One last thing I wrote down was Alviarin being
Good point.
named in the accepted test, which book readers will know she is the white sister who's also black, who becomes the keeper to Elida after the schism. And so I think it's really interesting that she is the one that helped Egwene go through the accepted test. And so clearly they're laying groundwork here, that she is present. And I it was just a moment, but book readers, Rafe has put so much into this show that's just for us. Like it may have future stuff. It may
Well, the
not.
game of snakes and foxes,
Yeah.
we saw that there.
Right, yes, exactly.
Does it mean we're going to have Sindel and the Tower of Genji and all that? I don't know.
Who knows? Who
it'd
knows?
be cool.
But we'll find out. Maybe. Hopefully.
And-
Fingers crossed.
Even if that is just an Easter egg, it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you had mentioned something, Kathy, about like how Rafe had said, there are going to be a lot of moments that book readers have been asking for, but they may not appear in the way that we'd
Yes.
expect them. And like Matt, I think,
An Aes
is
Sedai answer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I
So Aes Sedai. But I mean, like Matt is one of the big ones there. So there's so many things going on with him that we were speculating whether or not they'd even appear.
Yeah.
And he is slipping into the old tongue now. And he does have memories of other people's
Yes.
battles. Now, in the books, the dagger had so fragmented his mind and torn holes in his psyche that when he did go and see the snakes and foxes, the people of Sindel, they stuffed the memories they collected into Matt's head, and that's how he got all the knowledge
battle.
of these adventurers and warriors and things like that. Instead, it was the Horn of Valir. Blowing the Horn of Valir gave those to him.
Yeah.
But now we're set up for Matt to be a badass fighter,
Yes.
someone who slides into the old tongue and says it's time to
Mhm.
roll the dice, someone
Mhm.
who uh, knows customs, ancient customs,
Yes.
and can you know, bully around the sea folk if
Yeah.
that's what happens. So,
Mhm.
it's exciting to see that that's manifesting,
Yeah.
even if it didn't happen in the way that we'd
Yeah.
expected it
Yep.
to happen. The
Yeah.
dagger is gone. We haven't seen Padan since last season,
Yeah.
but
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah, we'll
see.
see.
Yeah. And on the poster, he's got the fox head. So
Yes.
Yeah, there
something's
we go.
happening with
Something's
that as
gonna,
well.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
We
another great piece of lore. We love that
yes,
Hmm.
map.
and
So,
Yeah.
had one of the crystal sticks pillar
Oh,
things
yeah,
over one of his eyes. So,
yeah.
yep.
again, all of these hits. I'm sure book readers who are very angry about the world have not listened this far. If you had, hi, we do still love you. We still appreciate you. We just wish you weren't so angry. That's the biggest part, I think.
I
Uh,
mean, I'm one of the biggest book fans there is. I've read that series so many times over, but at this point, I am really looking at this as something different. It's
yes.
it's reminiscent and evocative of a lot of my favorite scenes. It still
Mhm.
surprises me,
Yeah.
and it's possible to enjoy two things at
Yes.
once differently,
Yeah.
and I do.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
So
Um,
treat yourself, I guess. Is what
yes.
I'm saying. No need to
Treat
get mad.
yourself.
Get double the enjoyment.
Like, man, there's so much
Definitely.
else going on to get angry about. Why is this what you're putting your effort into? But you know what? That's okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It is what it is, and we'll continue to handle that. Is there anything else you can think of?
That's all I had.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Maureen in the front here.
Right, I think I got it. I'm not a king, or no, I should have known you would be a
Oh,
king. I'm not a king, Nynaeve. Just a man with
Oh,
with not so much to his name as even the meanest farmer's croft. Some women don't ask for gold or the land, just the man. A man who would ask her to be worthy of that would not be, or a man that would ask her to accept that would not be worthy of her. You are fuck, I had it. You are remarkable, as beautiful as the sunrise, as fierce as a warrior. Or you are a lioness wisdom. If I go to Tarvalon, it may be that it'll be something other than wisdom. Aes Sedai marry as seldom as wisdoms. Few men can live with so much power in a wife, dimming them with her radiance, whether she wishes to or not. Some men are strong enough. I know one such. This is Rand's perspective, as if no. And then Rand thinks her look left no whatever. You know who she was talking about. Um, all I have is a war. I can't win, but must keep fighting. Light, you've made me say more than is proper already. Will you shame me to the point of asking you? I will never shame you. His voice, soft like a caress, sounded odd to Rain's ears and the warder's voice, but it made Nynaeve's eyes smile. I will hate the man you choose because he is not me, but I will love him if he makes you smile. No woman deserves the sure knowledge of widow's black as her bride price, you least of all. Sleep or oh, I must go and check the horses. Sleep or no, Rand closed his eyes. He did not think the wisdom would like it if he watched her cry.
oh, wow, Maria.
that was impressive. That was impressive. Well done. Oh, and with
I bet it was
that,
90% accurate.
yeah, yeah. Don't
Amazing.
don't tell don't tell us what was wrong. We're gonna it's 100% correct
It's
in my
canon
word.
now.
Yes. You can find links to follow us online in the show notes or on dragonmount.com. On our website, we have tons of great content about the Wheel of Time, blog posts, chapter and episode summaries, news, as well as links to our YouTube channel that has tons of great videos there. You will definitely find things to entertain you. Also, make sure to check out our Patreon. Not only do you get to support the community of creators here at Dragonmount, but we have tons of other goodies for you too. I have been Kathy Campbell.
I also have been Rajiv Moté and will continue to be.
and and I'm Maureen Carr.
This is not the ending, but it is an ending. Thanks for listening, and we hope you have an absolutely incredible day. Bye.